Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer or food maker selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Kat Fields-White.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Get ready to catch up on all things farmers market pros with us. Today, we're chatting about increasing farmers' sales across multiple channels with West Windsor, New Jersey Farmers Market Manager, Chris Cirkus.
Today's episode of Tent Talk, Farmers Market Podcast, is supported by Gusto. Whether you have a team of 2 or a larger group of employees, Gusto makes it easy to process payroll, support your HR needs, and even coordinate insurance and benefits. Their system is easy to manage online and comes at a reasonable price. We use it ourselves, so it's easy to sing their praises. Good help can be hard to find nowadays, and making payroll and benefits easy is one way to keep employees happy. Click the Gusto logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com to get started today.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Tent Talk. Today we are chatting with Chris Cirkus of the West Windsor Farmers Market and Zone 7 about supporting farmers in getting fresh local produce on plates in every way possible.
I met Chris at her market in New Jersey in August during National Farmers Market Week and discovered that she has a wealth of experience in farmers markets and local food systems. It was especially interesting to me that she's been a longtime farmers market manager and now combines that role with a position with a local produce distributor. They're the enemy, right? Sort of? No? I think we're going to all have an enjoyable conversation about this topic. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to talk to you. I think this will be very interesting. But just for folks who don't know you already, if you want to give us like a little background, career, family, how you got into farmers markets in the first place.
Sure thing. So I kind of came into this role just because I love food. I was running HR and customer service for a manufacturing company in North Jersey. Got married, had little kids. Took a little bit of a pause to raise them, and then got back into work by being an aide in my younger daughter's private preschool. And through that, started running an after-school program to do a cooking program. Went to the director and said, I really want to do a little bit more than just a repeat of the morning. So we created this really fun at one, we called it. A lot of don't yuck my yum, and put a little garden in the school, and just had a really great time with it. And then through that started doing cooking classes out of my house. We'd go in my garden and pick herbs, and we'd make fresh pasta, and looking in my kitchen as I'm chatting to think about how much of a mess we used to make. And it was just an absolute hoot. And then sort of simultaneously, the farmers market in our town that was, I think, maybe 3 years old at that point, put an ad out looking for a new manager. And it was, if you were passionate about food, agriculture, eating, and that knowledge of produce and eating locally was a must. And my kids at the time were in high school, and they looked at me and saw this little ad and said, Mom, you have to do that. That just sounds like you. And so I knew one of the co-founders of the market. Our kids had gone to elementary school together, and I already knew the market and shopped at it. And so I sort of leapt in as, the on-site manager for the day. And then, 13 years later, here I am writing the newsletter and doing the budget and doing the banking and, coercing with all the farmers and going out everywhere. And it's really this glorified volunteer work that's, I don't have to tell you guys, the most gratifying thing you'll ever do in your life, besides having a family. So yeah, I really just sort of walked right into it through my love of food and cooking for people and connecting that world.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, it's I feel like those things are all very much connected, and good for your kids for recognizing that you would be, a good that would be a good gateway. Everything that you were already doing, of course, like market management, that's the next step. So it sounds like it was a really great fit for you.
I think moms and preschool teachers. That sounds like a really good background as well.
I'm telling you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and it's my organizational skills and all those things that make you who you are as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
You lend all that to, you jump in head first, and then you can put all those skills to test.
For sure. Being someone can take care of a household. I stayed home with my kids for a little bit, and it's just, I use those skills so much when taking care of the market, because it's like multitasking and being nurturing and being organized and all those things. So yeah, those skills are all really relevant.
So yes, I've been known as the market mama, by the way. That's my role these days. Yeah.
Yes. We love a market mama. I feel like it's so important. So tell us a little bit about the West Windsor Farmers Market. Like, how long has it been open? Days of the week? Is it year-round or seasonal? And how many farmers and vendors do you have there?
So we were founded in 2004. So we're just celebrating our 20th year this season.
Wow.
We all, community run. So not run by the municipality. We were a nonprofit registered with the state. I came in, I guess, a few years in there. We've currently got 20 farms that all New Jersey, except for one Pennsylvania mushroom grower. I think we've got 30 food purveyors and producers, 9 of which alternate weeks. So on site, there's probably 23 or so in addition. So we take over a very bustling during the week commuter parking lot at the Princeton Junction train station, which is right on the Northeast Corridor. So everybody knows where the Junction train station is. I didn't name it. I might have actually named it the Junction, but it kind of came with the name. So we run Saturdays 9 to 1, the beginning of May until Thanksgiving. And then we go twice a month through the winter from 10 to 1, right in the same parking lot that we use in the summer. And that's new within the last couple of years. We've been bouncing around. We used to run, I could be mistaken, but I do believe that we were the first in New Jersey that were doing winter markets. There was one, and then there were 3, and we were running them as the Slow Food Central Jersey chapter. And then the chapter sort of fizzled. So we moved them back into West Windsor, found some space, bounced around between an athletic club. We went into a mall. We went outside the mall during COVID. Then we moved back to the lot. Then we moved within the lot. So, we all adapt quite well.
Yes, we do.
Which is what we do.
Yes,
we know how to bounce,
yeah.
For sure. And you were named the American Farmland Trust #1 market in New Jersey in 2022, right?
We were I think we were #1 in the Northeast, and we ranked in the nation, which was a fun little boon. But for me, I think, we caught this crazy momentum of people who got it. It was how can we promote the market? How can we get people to come out? And, this year I'm seeing that that a lot of it is sort of, where's the town that loves itself the most?
Yeah.
And who's the best at the social media marketing? It's kind of become a game. And now that I'm seeing the struggle or actually crazily, I think year to year, as we've been following this, because I think this is the 14th, 13th time that we've sort of done this, the same markets year to year are sort of done, right? You get the recognition, you move on, but it's a lot of energy. I'd really rather spend my focus on running a market in running my market and not begging people for votes or who can I reach. And, I really only want it to be an organic thing. And last year it really caught on, which was a lot of fun. But for me, it got me in front of the governor. And I got a phone call from him one day, and it was, hey, it's Governor Murphy. Congratulations on this win, because NJ.com, which was the local, big local media, picked up on it. And so for me, it was an audience. It was a way to talk to the governor about the importance of farmers markets, what this was doing for the local economy. And it put me in front of his economic development.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that, to me, that's the culmination of this work, is that for me, it's not just running a market. It's all these other things that I do. Sort of like when I met you, Kat, right? It was, wait, you do what? wait, how are you? Who are you? What do you do? What do you mean you run conferences? It was all these crazy kind of things. And so for me, I think there's a place for the America's Farmland, American Farmland Trust celebration. But unfortunately, I think people really do make it a competition. It's, we want people shopping at farmers markets at the end of the day. That's what we all do. Whichever neighborhood you live in, we want you to go out and do that. But I don't think that the average manager is seeing it as that. I think they're seeing it just for that recognition.
Right. Yeah. And I think, in the way back when we first started talking to American Farmland Trust about it, it was characterized more as the best farmers market in America. And we said, you know what, that's not really where we should be going with this, because the best farmers market is the one that's close to you, that has farmers,
100%.
Has farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they did change their messaging quite a bit to make it a celebration. And we had some really good talks with them about the purpose of the contest was just to bring attention to farmers markets and get your shoppers involved and engaged with your market and that kind of thing. I'm not sure that adding money to it has actually improved the tone. I think what's happened there is that even though American Farmland Trust is not back to pushing it and saying you can win this money, so then it becomes very competitive again. I think maybe people that write about the contest from other media and maybe some social media managers and maybe PR folks that are working with various markets tend to slip into that. Hey, we're fighting to be the best market in the country. And that, of course, for me, and people who listen to us are aware of this. I don't think there's a best movie either. I think the Oscars are weird. So I don't think there's a best farmers market. There's a lot of amazing, wonderful markets.
Yeah. I will say that I think that the best market is the one that you go to.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel.
And that's, I was in Asheville this week and I went to the Asheville City Market, made friends with the manager there. And I've been at the Ferry Plaza and gone and introduced myself. That's what we do. And you find amazing things at any market you go to. So the one that you're going to frequent and the one you're really going to support, that's really the favorite, or the best, however you want to interpret it. I really, it was fun. I actually really liked the celebration when it was based on the size of your market.
Oh, instead of just geographic, it was, you're right.
Yeah. Or just do it geographically. I think there's a way to do it. When we sort of, had been celebrated last year, we looked at it as, I had recommended to American Farmland when I chatted with them that maybe tickets to your conference might be a really nice perk. Like to me, that's a better perk than a prize,
interesting.
Because it is sort of a financial, because there's so much education that comes with your conference, right? I've only done it virtually. I haven't done it in person yet, but you learn so much, right? Because it's all your peers. So I thought that if anything, that would have been a fun little perk.
Keep pushing that idea. We like that idea for sure.
We like that, but more like development. And then the more education you're giving market managers, the more markets can expand. Yeah. And the more markets expand, the more farmers can thrive. And it's like, that's the whole point.
Larger percentage of shoppers is with you, that kind of thing.
And every market is so different, right? Which one is run by a municipality, which is run by a nonprofit, which one is just a group of folks who gather some farmers together. And does it make it any more celebrated than one who might have more resources or sponsors or a budget? So look, we want people shopping at markets end of the day. So
that's how we all win.
That's
right?
It. Yes.
I will say we ended up in the 10 best contest in the farmers market category, which I was sort of appalled to realize after we ended up in the top 10. We were number 4 or something like that. And our shoppers and our team was so excited. So I, kept my skepticism about contests down a little bit, because it was fun that we placed and things. And then I was sort of appalled to realize that farmers markets was part of the entertainment category.
Yeah, it was like a USA Today thing, or like entertainment. Or like, excuse me,
wait a minute.
Wasn't even the food category or grocery store.
Though I'm going to add that when you said entertainment, so when the pandemic hit, the governor in New Jersey deemed, and I think it was nationally, farmers markets were essential,
right,
as were grocery stores. And I think for this wave that we're in farmers markets, that was significant, because you couldn't get food. right? Nobody knew surfaces and all of that. And so farmers markets really became that way to grocery shop, outdoors, masked, whatever it looked like.
Yeah, and we'd like to keep that message going. Farmers markets are essential. Yes, there's some fun there. It's no doubt it's a more entertaining way to shop than going to a big box grocery store. But at the core, we're grocery stores. We're essential for sure.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about all different kinds of markets, Chris, how's your market structured? You're a nonprofit. Is there a board that is involved? Do they oversee what you do? Are they more on the just financial side of the nonprofit? Or are they in operations?
Oversee is a very funny word, actually, isn't it? So we're a 501c3. I sort of have free reign to do what I feel is right for the market. I do have a board of 8 community members, and everybody sort of takes a little role, right? Who's hands-on day of helping me pop tents, who's one of our board members is a musician herself, so she books our music. And she's really increased the pay that we give our musicians, which is really kind of fun. One of our board members is our treasurer, sort of keeps us on track and with that. And so everybody sort of takes this little role. Someone helps me with the signage. One guy's in does a little bit of marketing, so he helps me with some of my more crazy ideas to get things done. But I sort of do the heavy lift. It's a unique structure because I just sort of do it. Kat, you met Stacy, my recent sidekick.
Yeah, she's amazing.
For us, she's been she's a designer. She's done marketing. She ran a farm store. Her husband was the cheesemaker there. They moved back to New Jersey. So, having people who know food or love food, I think is, that quality that you look for somebody in having an extra set of hands. Plus, she's very savvy with the social media, which
yeah, she's good.
starts to make the dinosaurs, less ancient.
Right. You need that youthfulness on your team.
Absolutely.
So you have a food recovery and donation program. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it benefits the farmers at your market?
Sure. So when through the Obama administration, he had put out a call to action called Yes, We Can. And there was a group of folks who gathered together and said, we're gonna connect with the Arm in Arm food pantries of Princeton and Trenton. And we partnered with them very early on. It was, I think, the year before I started with the market, so 2010. And they literally will stand at the market. And I'll preface this with, we do live in an affluent community, so there is some disposable income within the marketplace, as opposed to some higher need markets. So it's not a great fit for every community market, but for our market, it really does work. So they have collection cans. Folks can either donate fresh produce, shelf-stable product, homegrown garden produce, or give a cash donation. And the volunteers will then shop with our farmers. And through the pandemic, we started realizing if they held some of that money back week to week, they could pre-order. So now they will pre-order 25 cases of collards and 20 bags of corn or something, so that before the farmers even leave for market, they're already up on revenue. There's all because we know it costs a farmer, at minimum $500 at minimum to get product on a truck and get to market and pop everything and pay staff. And so if they're already coming with something, it's an incentive, especially, and our farmers really don't call out on bad weather days, and we're rain or shine, but it's certainly another reason, because somebody is expecting that produce. So they still, table at the market, but they usually will hold a little bit of the money back for a pre-purchase for the following week. So they've just thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of food is collected, and it gets picked up at 12:30, goes back to the pantry. They've got refrigeration, and it's all distributed on Monday.
Wow. Are those volunteers that that collect the donations and do the shopping, that's part of your team, and then there's a pantry that comes and picks stuff up, or they facilitate that. The pantry
they're their own thing.
Wow.
Yet we worked collaboratively and helped them expand the program, and that's me in my infinite wisdom of, hey, what if let's try this. And the folks that are sort of the organizers of it really are so receptive to new ideas. And we've done turkey drives and, mass collections during the pandemic and blankets. And then we move into a library, because this one woman, Kim, was seeing that that families who would come and shop at the pantry, the kids didn't really have anything to do. So she made a little free library. So it's just funny when you see them collecting at market. There'll also be a little pile of books, and then there will also be a little pile of shelf-stable food, and then there will be a pile of coats, and then somebody else is knitting blankets. And so it's become this all-encompassing, warm and fuzzy way to support our neighbors.
Yeah, it's wonder. I just love the way it combines not only helping the community, but you've kept that little slice of let's support the farmers as part of this. Because a lot of times
the money stays in the market.
Yeah, it's amazing because a lot of people do this sort of thing and come out. We get a lot of requests from groups that want our farmers to donate. And we have to keep reminding them that farmers are themselves oftentimes barely above that poverty line, and they can't really be philanthropists. They can do the hard work of growing the food, but somebody else needs to be putting in the money to buy it from them in order to donate it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And then there's also, when you're pre-ordering produce, it's first quality, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not, there's an expectation that our food banks and our food insecure shouldn't have fresh or, this is the same product that everybody else is buying.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, there's that stigma, right? So, we do market tokens. We've got a $5 one because there's no ATM on site. We're in the middle of a parking lot. And then we have the $1 SNAP token. And then we have a grant on that. So there's 3 types of tokens flying around the market. Nobody knows what anybody's using. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel when there's a paper script as opposed to something else, I had been involved in a market years ago, and there was the paper script, and folks were walking up who, were using their card for things. How do I get those paper vouchers? What are those?
Yeah, we have the same questions in our market too, but it's just having that accessibility, I feel like, and taking that stigma away and just acknowledging that food insecure folks it's not like they only deserve whatever the leftovers are at the end of the day or the damaged fruit or anything like that. Like having a mechanism to where folks are donating money and then someone's shopping and buying, pre-buying and ordering from the farmers so that they're just getting what the rest of us are getting when we come to the farmers market. I think that's so valuable just in so many ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Got to remember these are all our neighbors, and we could be in that spot for, people go up and down.
No kidding.
Budget-wise. So in addition to the West Windsor Farmers Market, you've been at some other markets, and in particular, you took over and revitalized a really long-established standing market in Trenton, right? So that's always interesting to see somebody come in, and it's happening more now because of the time frame in which markets became very popular and expanding in America. I think we're seeing a lot of executive directors and managers of a certain age that are retiring. And so then somebody's got to come in and take over this market that has a really long-term loyalty to things being done a certain way by certain personalities. How did you take on those kind of challenges in Trenton?
It's exactly what you said. So, the Trenton Farmers Market is this really cool old 80-year-old indoor year-round market that was co-managed, husband-wife team. When they retired crazily, I was part of the team that was hired to find their replacement because I know one of the farmers that's part of that cooperative. And through some of my other work, it sort of happened, hey, could you help us find a new manager? So we did. Unbeknownst to me, the person didn't take the job. So when I asked about it, I sort of hemmed and hawed and said, this kind of sounds like a next fun thing for me. Sure. This sounds like what a fun project. Let's take on another one. And I think those, give a busy person something to do and we get it done. But it definitely was a challenging role in that it's always been done that way. And change, nobody really likes change. and who is this woman coming into this good old boy space? And the farmers we're pretty transparent on, we don't follow our own rules, but you can't tell us what to do. So it as a dominant female lead, it was quite challenging for me personally. But I really started to shift the focus to the market was unique and like it's really a public market more than a farmer's market. Even though it says farmer's market on the roof, I think there's this disconnect in what a farmer's market is versus what a big public market is. And so there's 6 or 7 farmers as part of this farmer cooperative. The cooperative owns the land. The farmers participate. And then there's tenants because it's got some infrastructure and big old roll-up garage doors. So I started focusing on the sort of daily rentals of folks and bringing in local foods and makers and then local artisans and really tapping into the Trenton. And the Trenton Farmers Market is actually in Lawrence, ironically enough, because its history was in Trenton, down along the river. So I started really engaging with the community that way, and it became very profitable for the market. And so when I left, the revenue for the market was up like 1,000% from 3 years prior. It's just, it really, personality wise, it was clashing for me. And some folks weren't respecting my own personal time, and it was time to sort of move on. But the amazing thing is that the new manager who has already, somebody replaced me, somebody has replaced that person, is running with that. And he really, I did outreach and said, hey, anything I can do to help. I loved while I was there until I didn't. And, he said, nope, I'm taking what you did and running with it. So it's fun to see what's happening there because it really is a vibrant old space. And we have so many shoppers because we're only about 10 miles away from each other who shop both markets.
Oh.
They particularly like that vendor. They like that farm for when they're canning, but they like our grass-fed beef farmer, or they like these eggs, and everybody sort of finds what they're looking for. So
that's great. Yeah, you really spruced it up. It's funny, a lot of standing markets will say farmers market on the top, but they're really, you look at Pike in Seattle, which everybody you talk to somebody about a farmer's market and they say, oh, like Pike Place, the Pike Market in Seattle. It's like, well, that's not exactly a farmer's market. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard line, right? I think even in that USA Today thing, they've got a public markets and then they've got farmers markets, but they sort of cross over and they're not really defining which is which.
Right.
And, look, West Windsor is a community farmers market. We're just a bunch of crazy community members who make this magic happen. We pop up a downtown and we go home. There's no infrastructure. We kill ourselves for it for a reason. We want our farmers farming. Our mission is to support New Jersey farmers, and it trickles down to those vendors who also do. So, and that's very different than what's happening at the Trenton market, even with all the amazing things that are going on there.
Right.
It's just very, very different. And there's, certainly a local component because a lot of the vendors can buy their product right from the farmers, which we love. We always will love that. But there's a whole lot of other stuff too. So
it's interesting. Just got to protect our words.
Yeah.
Make sure that we're calling things what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done a lot of other interesting things sort of around the food system before we get to Zone 7 and what you're doing there. You were with the Farm to School program for a long time, right?
I was. The Farm to School program. Yeah. So the founder of our farmers market, the amazing Beth Fian, sort of my mentor in all things food, she was running a nonprofit in New Jersey called the New Jersey Farm to School Network. And, Farm to School is in every state now. And when I started running the West Windsor market, she said, oh, you're so organized. Do you want to come do some programs for me? And I was, doing 3 part-time things at the time. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So we had an absolute hoot for a few years, connecting farmers to food service in schools. We did a lot of kitchen essentials trainings to teach food service directors knife skills. And because we were a nonprofit, we could do the advocacy role. So there was legislation passed around farm to school. And unfortunately, Beth wasn't as amazing as fundraising as she is with everything else that she does. So she was ready to close the nonprofit. And crazily enough, New Jersey is one of, I think it's still 4 states that the National School Lunch Program is run through the Department of Ag versus Education. And so the New Jersey Department of Ag's Food and Nutrition Division hired Beth and me together to run the Farm to School program. So we were both part-time folks who ran this program, created marketing, revitalized their website, and had an absolute blast without the advocacy piece, which was, challenging for those of us with big mouths. But we were able to really make some great change and still connect with farmers and school gardens and, local procurement, and really utilize those resources and that knowledge that we had at the state level. So that was that. So I left the Department of Agriculture to take on the Trenton Farmers Market at the time. And Beth left to go work for Zone 7. Oh. So we worked together yet again, which is the best, especially when we cook a meal for the staff together. We did it when we were at the department. We do it at Zone 7 because nothing brings folks together more than, a great meal.
Yeah. So, tell us about Zone 7, what that is, and kind of your position and the timeline and about the company.
So Zone 7 is a local foods distributor. Zone 7 is the growing region in this area of New Jersey. It was founded by Mikey Azara. So we're in our 16th growing season with that. The really fun thing about Zone 7 in connecting, I think we're working with maybe 75 farms now, local food producers, is there's a great mantra about the right farms, the right customers, and there's just this really even keel of energy that, coming from this crazy, the market and who hated who and what, there's just this really beautiful relationship between our supply team and sales to the warehouse and warehouse to the routing and the routing to the drivers. And it's a really positive circle of those of us who just love local food. So, my running joke is that I'm slinging fruits and vegetables everywhere I go, but it's a great way to do that because you really see the full circle of food. When you're standing at a farmer's market, it's a little different, but when you're standing in the warehouse and seeing it come in, you can kind of do the crossover.
Yeah, kind of like a larger scale. So how do producers find Zone 7 and kind of vice versa? How do they get connected?
I mean, really, we've got really long established relationships with a lot of growers in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware. We work a little to the south during the winter, a little to the north as well. A lot of it is, new producers might be word of mouth of those of us on the sales team who, happen upon something, know somebody, connects, it's all connections. It's all about the relationship. So it's sort of that simple. Or there's certainly cold calls where somebody will say, hey, we do this. But a lot of it is just farmers we've all known who we might know that they're trying something new. And then we might tap into it.
Yeah. Is there a lot of overlap with your market farmers, like farmers that come to market, either your market or markets in the area, and farmers that are interested in doing more of a distributor? Or do you see like kind of different groups of farmers for that?
I think it's kind of different. I mean, there are certainly some farms that do both. It's been my experience with the farmers that I work with at my specific market that they really stick in their lane of retail, or will do something on farm because it's always going to be their best bang for the buck. They're going to get the most on the dollar for that. Some of the larger scale farmers will have the opportunity or the availability or staffing to be able to do some wholesale. We work with a fun citrus grower in New Jersey, go figure, right? Citrus doesn't grow in New Jersey. And he lives in town, and I've known him for years. And we always joke that when you're ready to, do market with Sudachi and, all these beautiful citrus fruits, call me. You're coming to my market first. And crazily, we do sell their product with Zone 7 to restaurants because it's a little higher end product. So there's been some fun, like, wait, we work with them?
Nice. Yeah. So because yours is a little bit of a boutique distributorship in that you're not, Zone 7 doesn't sell any imported produce, right? You're strictly doing local.
No, we're not a broadline distributor.
Right.
Nope. So it's, our goal is to be, super consistent and provide a reliable product, with availability and transparency for as long as possible in the season, and be, with quality and, with our delivery, with our communications with our customers. And I think that's the fun part of aligning ourselves with Mikey and, his mission of connecting farmers to those consumers across schools, groceries, box share folks, restaurants.
So you got the schools and the groceries and the restaurants. And I don't know that there's always a question about, is it realistic to think that chefs will shop at farmers markets? Mm-hmm. So while we feel sometimes that we kind of compete with some of the local distributors, it's like, oh, I wish the chefs would just come straight to the farmers so the farmers could keep the whole retail price. How realistic that is, I don't know. There's a couple of markets in the country that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we get a couple. We get a couple. Yeah. And when I stood at Ferry Plaza last year, I was amazed at the farmer carts. Yeah. That's really a thing. That's amazing. Yeah.
So there's a few in the country where you see that. So Ferry Building, Santa Monica on Wednesdays, Union Square, those markets, you'll see a lot of chefs. Sometimes the markets in DC, you'll see Jose Andres' group out there. But generally speaking,
well, that's the USDA one. Yeah. They've got
right. that. but mostly I feel like it's a hard push to get a chef to walk out of the restaurant and come down and shop at the market. Most of the places we don't see it,
especially when you think most markets are in the morning.
Right.
Most.
Right.
So generally speaking, if a chef is up late with a restaurant, right, they are not coming to a market.
Yeah, I think a midweek market maybe works a little bit better for chefs. But, we've always sort of jokingly said we compete against our local produce distributors in terms of selling to chefs. But I don't know how realistic it is to think that the chefs will come. But when you talk about Zone 7 doing home delivery, do you feel like that's in competition to the market? Are people getting that home delivery box versus coming to the market and shopping in an environment where the one of our prime goals is at farmers markets is that we enable farmers to keep the whole retail price. Obviously, Zone 7 can't afford to buy from them at full retail price and then cover all of their expenses. So clearly, the farmers are going to have to take a little bit less.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, ultimately, we want people buying locally, right? We want people eating local food. So my tune has shifted ever so slightly.
Sure.
Now that I'm in the produce sales side of things. But now that I see, farmers markets are ever changing, right? So at the end of the day, we want people eating that local food. I think through the pandemic, when it was grocery delivery, it was very different. Somebody was sitting in their house with a laptop, click. And I think once that wave started, we're never getting away from that. You can still get any food anytime delivered to your front door. There's something kind of nice if it's a local box share, because at least then there's something. But the margins are not all that significant that, we pay our farmers fairly for their product, as does our box share customers who then pay us for product. And it, obviously trickles down. But I don't know. I really think that at the end of the day, we just want folks buying something that is maybe more nourishing, has maybe got a smaller footprint, is maybe a little bit fresher, maybe the quality is that much better, so the flavor is going to be that much better, and you hope that people will support it. I think the biggest difference between a box share and a community farmers market is the community. You will never replicate that if somebody's knocking on your front door. You just won't. And there's just something so warm and fuzzy about what we all do and create, and whatever that looks like, whether you've got a kids program, whether you've got music, whether you've got cooking demonstrations, getting people to interact with each other, not in a grocery store, but in an open air setting, is just, that's why we do it, right? That's to me what makes it all worthwhile.
For sure.
Mhm.
So do you think maybe you're not really dealing with an audience that's making a choice between going to the farmer's market and getting local food in a box delivered? You're dealing with, there's people that are going to come to the farmer's market, and then those folks that want food delivered are either going to get it from you or they're going to get it from somebody like the Big A or some
Absolutely.
evil empire that's importing everything.
So the crazy thing is, because I see some of who our distribution is, and we have a unique relationship with one of our customers in that we do some of their distribution for them as part of our trucking. So I see some of the customers on the list. I subscribe to the box because it's my customer and I want to see how it holds as well. So there are people who I see at the farmer's market every week who also shop, from a box share. And we've got 5 grocery stores within a 5-mile radius of my market, including Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, ShopRite's. So it's because a lot of box shares are midweek and we're a Saturday market. I think we all can capture that midweek replenishment as opposed to going from town to town, finding market to market to market. And the difference in a suburban area is you have to get in your car to go do it.
Right.
You're not, in an urban area, you might have one market on a Tuesday that's right over there and another one on a Thursday that you can get to. So, if we were all in, a sweet little village in France, we could shop locally every single day and just buy enough food to get us to the next day. But
I wish.
haven't. Our culture is not of that.
Right. Although some urban areas, I feel like, are moving that way a little bit. Even in San Diego, you can kind of stay in the urban core and hit markets maybe 4 days a week if you want to.
Yeah.
We see some people that do that.
Yeah, it's nice to, have options just because people are in different situations. If your work schedule is not conducive to the schedule of the markets in your neighborhood, it's nice to have a supplement something. Like I had a CSA box for years that I got on top of also working at the market, so I would shop there. But it's like I have a family of 5, so it's like we eat more than
going through it.
One person can shop in a day, and it's if I go to other markets and shop, I shop the market in our neighborhood that we don't run. And the vendors would be like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm just buying food. Like my groceries from yesterday ran out. I have a teenager, like they're gone." So yeah, just having like options around people's schedules. And I think the next best thing to really, having your farmer hand you the food and buying it directly from them, it would be a box share like this, where it's still local produce, nutrient dense, coming, from that place and kind of supplementing and sharing that. So
do you see other ways that markets and distributors can kind of complement each other and consider each other kind of on the same team?
Pause. I don't know, honestly. I think for me, I focused my efforts on promoting market to market more than the market to distributor. For me, the relationships of connecting folks who I may see a product and, sort of start steering them in the direction that, oh, you could really scale this up. This might be a good product to get into, the bigger audience. We did that with our pasta maker, before I was even working for Zone 7. When they approached me about making pasta, I said, well, where are you sourcing your grain? Where are you getting your vegetables? And then gave them some suggestions on where they could get local grain, because I don't think that was the way that they were headed at the time. And it has changed a lot of the trajectory of that business. So much so that when they really started scaling up, I connected them to Zone 7 and said, hey, the gift of working for a company now is I've known the owner and some of the sales team for years and years and years. So, when you surround yourself with like-minded people, it's easier to, it's not such a heavy lift to do the work. So I think helping small business scale up in that is maybe that connection that you're asking, Kat, is, but for me, I'm not so much focusing my efforts on that as more as how can we as market managers support each other? And the Princeton market is a Thursday market, and they do their winter markets opposite weeks as us. So my plan is
good.
to promote, that you can shop every week instead of every, without anybody saying you should, but you should.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
The
for
whole
sure.
goal is
If you can, for sure.
Mhm.
And I mean, to that end, I know that you worked on a New Jersey Farmers Market conference back, maybe 5 years ago? And
Yeah,
then
right before the pandemic, we've done a few. Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
you've done workshops, you do other speaking kind of gigs. Is there a plan for a New Jersey Farmers Market Association?
Not that I'm currently aware of, but the Food Democracy Coalition or collaboration, excuse me, is a nice young organization that's kind of coming into the space and doing their due diligence on food systems as a whole in New Jersey. They're running a summit in December that I'll be helping out a little bit with, sort of to help a panel with, defining what a farmer's market is in New Jersey and what do the Chapter 24 guidelines for farmers markets mean anymore, because as part of a task force to help update those prior to the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit. And then the gentleman who ran it for the Department of Health retired. So there's a lot of product that's not even on the guidelines.
Right.
Frozen product, not even there. So there are these gray areas within health departments, and every municipality has their own guidelines and temporary food handler rules. And so it's challenging for markets and the vendors who sell at them. I mean, New Jersey was just the last state last year. We now have cottage rule. It's not even a law. And that just hit. So it was, hey, as a market, how can we support these home bakers or these homemakers, especially when honey was in the Chapter 24 guidelines as you didn't need a license. And now it fell in the home baker rule where you do. So
yeah, it's so confusing, right? Well, we keep talking about this. This has come up on a couple of episodes recently about trying to make rules that make sense for everybody, but each area is different and each area has such different rules. And I think when you talk about kind of defining what a farmer's market is, part of our thing is that we think you want to make sure that if you call it a farmer's market, that there's actual farmers there that you're buying from.
Right.
But at the same time, over the last few years, we've gotten less stringent about thinking that's the only way to get fresh food into neighborhoods. So, another way that a distributor and a market could work together is if you're in an area where there are no farmers nearby or farmers can't be economically induced to come into that area that's really deprived of fresh food, could a distributor bring food in there from a variety of farms, less overhead for any individual farm,
Sure.
bring that kind of food into that neighborhood. And then do you still call it a farmer's market? Maybe not, because the farmers aren't present, but is community market a valid description of another kind of way to bring food to people?
It's funny, we do work with one food access group, well, several, because there's a lot of local food funding through the USDA right now. And they do some distribution with product from us, and it's all first quality, but I know the one market that I had mentioned prior in Trenton that is a different market than the Trenton Farmers Market, the Greenwood Ave Farmers Market. That market, so much of it was food access. So at the time that we started it, we actually had done outreach with a grocery store to be able to have tropicals at the market. And then when the original farm had left, actually we're still there, but they started going to Philly to be able to bring in certain tropicals as well to supplement what they were actually growing. So there's definitely, depending on the need is what will dictate what a market needs.
Right. And then just, aligning the need and what's appropriate for a particular community with the vocabulary that we use so that we don't devalue the term farmer's market in terms of, that defining a place where there are actual farmers standing there.
Right. Food distribution is very different than commerce.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also complicated.
It's so complicated. So what's next for Zone 7, for your farmer's market, for Chris Cirkus? What's going on next for you?
What is next? I have adult kids out of the house who support the farmers markets where they live, which is really, what a gift that is as a parent to see your kids cooking local food and, visiting those markets. Zone 7, we're keeping on. We're just going to continue to, connect really good food to some really good people, at the right price for the right quality and all of those, right. And for our farmers market, I think there's definitely a sea change in markets, and, getting people to come out is becoming more and more challenging. But, I think that there's some of it will be evolving on what we offer, what we can do to get the community to support it. And if, we don't do pre-order online sales and things and streamlining all of that, but maybe that's the next iteration of markets. I just want people to come and enjoy each other's company and run into the folks that, your kids played sports with, or, went to services together, or, have been in library programs or whatnot, or played band together. But that's, sometimes it's a little pie-eyed. Sometimes it's a little one-sided. I don't know. I'm a go with the flow, yet kind of rigid in my ways. So it'll be interesting to see where I land with that. My 85-year-old mother lives with us, so there's always that. She's the best thing to see walking around the market. She knows every single person in the market. You just say, the little old lady with the cart.
That's going to be me.
So
that's going to be you walking around.
That's going to be me, actually. I'll be the little old lady with the cart. Or a booth.
You just need or a booth.
Or a booth, yeah.
Well, I did see that there are some markets that have the free advice from old guys or old geezers or something like that.
That's right.
That's what we're doing.
I actually mentioned it to one of our founding farms because he's changed a lot of what he grows, and he's more, he's gotten involved in hemp and CBD, and he's working towards changing a lot within the state within that. And he's doing some tree fruit and experimental hazelnuts. So we always joke as a founding farm that, he can just pull up a rocking chair and brew some tea that he grows, because there'll always be a place for him. And I think, we'll see. I might be popping that tent with the free advice. Maybe that's my next. I'm just going to continue to support other managers who call me, who without an official statewide association, when somebody has a question, they call me. I'm happy to spend the time to try and help them. I sort of happened into this work, so I'm certainly not the be all end all. There are many people that have been doing farmers markets before me, and there will be many after me. I just know that, wherever I end up, whenever I retire, whatever that looks like, I'm pretty sure I'll be helping at a farmer's market near me.
Well, Chris, I'm hoping that you and I get to pull rocking chairs up next to each other and give that old geezer gal's advice on the tent.
I might have to write that one down. Right. Geezer gal's advice. Let's incorporate that now.
All right, yeah, get that domain name.
See, you can't get that in a home delivery. You got to come to the market for that. See,
for sure.
Exactly.
Oh,
Geezer gal's advice.
So great to talk to you, Chris. This was a wonderful conversation, and I just love everything that you've done and are doing, and excited to see what's next, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah, it would be great. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye, Chris.
Bye.
Thanks for listening today, and big thanks to Gusto for supporting farmers markets, farmers, and food makers by making payroll, HR, and benefits easy and affordable, and for supporting Tent Talk, the farmers market podcast. Find more information and sign up by clicking the Gusto logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com. To meet more companies offering valuable ways to support your market and make your job easier, reserve your seat today to meet us in the Resource Lounge at Intense, the Farmers Market Conference, March 4th through 6th, 2024 in San Diego. You can still save on super early bird pricing when you click register on the homepage at farmersmarketpros.com this week.
Thanks for listening to Tent Talk today. Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Tent Talk. Connect with fellow farmers market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros community. Follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros, and find online education and other resources on our website at farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Tent Talk is produced by Leandra Hayes with original music by David Mead. Tune in next week for another great episode.